Did you receive a paycheck protection loan for your business and want to maximize your opportunity to get that loan forgiven? Well, in this video, we're going to share the latest guidance out from the Small Business Administration as of today, Monday, May 18th. Now, as CPAs in a CPA firm, we're staying on top of this guidance because we've got a lot of clients that received paycheck protection loans and want to do just that, maximize their opportunity forgiveness. So stay tuned to the contents of this video to learn about the latest and greatest news with regard to the Paycheck Protection Loan Program and forgiveness. Hey everyone, it's Anthony from Essentage, Tucson's premier bookkeeping and accounting firm. So on Friday, May 15th, the Small Business Administration issued new guidance on forgiveness for the Paycheck Protection Loan Program and the loans that were given to small businesses. Now, part of the guidance that was issued was the actual application for forgiveness. We're going to go ahead and, along with this video, post the link to the application on the SBA website. We also found a really great article that Forbes published that did I thought an excellent job of summarizing the application and some of the specifics. So we'll post that as well so you can take a look at it. So just remember that everything with regard to the Paycheck Protection or PPP loan program forgiveness is always subject to change. It's been a dynamic situation on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So today we're going to talk about, like I said, that latest guidance, the application. But again, keep in mind everything is subject to change, and you definitely want to keep monitoring developments as the days go by. So one of the big items that a lot of businesses were wondering about with regard to the Paycheck Protection Loan Program and receiving those funds was whether or not those funds were going to be taxed or taxable to them. So in general, at the outset, the Paycheck Protection loans were designed so that if they are forgiven, that is, they are turned into a grant and forgiven in that they don't have to be paid back, then small businesses wouldn't be taxed on those dollars. So it wouldn't be like regular recurring revenue or sales. You wouldn't be taxed on those dollars. The issue then came up, what about those expenses that I use the PPP money for? Paying my payroll costs, my mortgage, my interest, my utilities. Am I still going to be able to take a deduction for those on my tax return? I understand that I'm not going to get taxed on that money coming in, but am I still going to be able to deduct those expenses? So most business owners already understood that they were not going to get taxed on the money coming in from those PPP loans. That is, again, they wouldn't be taxed on those dollars as revenue. Really the big question they had was, were they going to be able to get that kind of secondary or double benefit of still being able to deduct those expenses, payroll expenses, mortgage, interest payments, utilities? Were they going to be able to still be able to deduct those expenses that they use the PPP money for on their tax returns? And right now, that answer, as of today's guidance that's been issued by the SBA, is still no. You can't double dip. So you're not going to get taxed on the money coming in as revenue, but then you're also not going to be able to turn around and deduct those payroll expenses, mortgage interest expenses, utility expenses that you use the PPP money for. Now, there is still a lot of chatter within the United States Congress, both the Senate and the House. There are folks within Congress pushing for business owners to receive that kind of double dip benefit, so to speak. So that too is a dynamic situation. As I said earlier, things are always subject to change. This is one of those topics that's still being debated in Congress. So again, keep on top of the guidance. As of right now, you don't get taxed on the revenue, but you can't take those expenses, payroll, mortgage interest, utilities, as expenses to reduce your taxable income, but the conversation continues. So again, just this one topic with regard to taxability of funds coming in or expenses either being deductible or not deductible. This is one of those reasons why you really have to be working with a good CPA. You are going to have, as a result of the PPP loan funds, what we like to call book to tax differences. So regardless of where the final guidance lands, there are going to be some adjustments that need to be made to your books and records for tax purposes to get your tax return done properly. So if you're not working with a professional, if you're not working with a CPA, this is a good reminder that you really should enlist the help of a professional to guide you through that process. So the next thing I want to mention in terms of the new guidance and what's critically important for you to understand is that a lot rides or rests on what your business's payroll schedule is. That is, Do you pay folks twice a month? Do you pay folks bi-weekly? So there's a difference there between 24 pay periods a year or 26 pay periods a year. When does your pay period begin and end each week or each 2-week period or pay period? The reason that's important, as you'll see in some of the guidance we're posting in that application for forgiveness and in that article that we mentioned that we'll go ahead and post above, is those dates in conjunction with that 8-week measurement period for forgiveness really determine what costs are eligible for forgiveness or may not be. Another reason why your business's unique payroll schedule is important is because one of the open questions out there that this new SBA guidance in the application is trying to address is this question about what expenses are forgivable. Is it simply items that were paid and that cash physically got paid out during this 8-week measurement period, or is it expenses that were incurred but not necessarily paid? A good example of that, you might be coming to the end of that 8-week measurement period and have a couple weeks left, and your employees worked and therefore you owe them money for that last 2 weeks. However, we all know once a pay period closes, checks or direct deposits aren't received by employees until typically 3 to 5 days after the pay period is closed. So in that scenario, you incurred those costs during the 8-week measurement period, but perhaps they weren't paid until after the 8-week measurement period was over. This guidance will give you more specifics on scenarios whereby even if cash hasn't been paid out for some of those expenses, but they were incurred during that 8-week measurement period, they may still be eligible for forgiveness. Finally, one of the reasons why your business's unique payroll schedule or payroll process is going to be critical in relation to this updated guidance is because your unique payroll process and schedule is going to help you interpret the guidance in terms of determining your what's called full-time equivalent count. FTE is the abbreviation, essentially your employee count, to apply to some of these rules in conjunction with your payroll costs that you actually incurred or paid during this 8-week measurement period. And you're going to need those numbers in terms of your FTE and actual payroll costs to apply those to this application checklist and the updated guidance to determine exactly what is eligible for forgiveness. So again, the uniqueness of your company's payroll process and payroll schedule, you really need to understand that in order to take that and marry it up with the guidance that's out there and the new application and get a real good understanding of what you are truly eligible for in terms of forgiveness on your PPP loan. Now, I talked a lot about your payroll costs and your payroll schedule. The same is true for the other expenses that are or qualify you for forgiveness under the Paycheck Protection Loan Program. Those being your rent, your mortgage interest paid, your utilities. Again, there is that concept of incurred during the 8-week measurement period versus actually paid. There is, again, specific guidance in this updated language that's been put forward, shedding light on when costs could be eligible for forgiveness even though they were just incurred but not necessarily paid during the 8-week measurement period. So the same holds true for those elements, your mortgage interest, your rent, your utilities. It's all relative to the specific guidance now, and again, you need to have good records, good documentation, and a good understanding of the guidance to maximize what can be forgiven. So as I mentioned, we're going to include the links to the new SBA application for forgiveness and that article that talks through some of the specifics related to the application and forgiveness. Now, I will tell you, there's a lot of mechanical calculations in there. There's a lot of information. And as I said at the outset, it could change. It is subject to change. It might be overwhelming to look at and look through and really go through the fine points. But again, this is why it's so critical for you to have a good set of books and records, and most importantly, to be working with a professional. So a lot of businesses have choices they have to make on a day-to-day basis in terms of what they invest in. Labor, materials, inventory, marketing. And I understand, accounting services and working with an accounting professional might not be, the most glamorous thing to you invest in. But again, This situation with the Paycheck Protection Loan Program, and specifically this forgiveness component, and the fact that there's all these rules that are ever evolving that include these mechanical calculations, really highlight the importance of working with a good bookkeeper, a good CPA, having your documentation, your financial documentation in order, and really having that resource to stay on top of this guidance as it continues to evolve, and ultimately be in a position to maximize your forgiveness on this loan and ensure that you have financial success in your business going forward. So all you business owners out there, I'm imploring you, I'm not merely as a sales tactic, but I'm really imploring you. Invest in accounting services and invest in having that type of advisor on your team. We're in the local Tucson market. If you're a business owner in Tucson, definitely feel free to reach out to us at Essentage. But everyone out there, again, this situation is really highlighting the critical importance of working with a good CPA and a good advisor to navigate kind of troubling or challenging times like this. And on a day-to-day basis, have that financial and accounting information at your fingertips to drive your decision making and continue to push you towards success. So as always, feel free, leave your comments and questions in the area below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Obviously, we're posting this video as of Monday, May 18th. This application and the information surrounding it just kind of came out Friday. So we're definitely doing our best to stay on top of this stuff as it comes out, kind of take it all in and share it with you. So again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll continue to post more content and videos on the Paycheck Protection Loan Program, forgiveness, and other relevant topics. And until next time, this is Anthony from Essentage, hoping everyone is staying safe and healthy.